Happy Friday. Let's begin with oil because apparently your paycheck had gotten entirely too comfortable. Crude prices jumped again after more tanker attacks and continued failure to reach a ceasefire involving Iran. Brent climbed above $88 a barrel, and roughly 1/5 of the world's oil supply normally passes through the Strait of Hormuz. So when people thousands of miles away start shooting at boats in a narrow strip of water, somehow your gas station gets invited to the meeting. Funny how globalization works. President Trump told Americans that paying a little more for gasoline was worth it if the Iran conflict. That's a policy argument, and whether you agree with it is entirely up to you. But I do appreciate when government finally simplifies foreign policy into something every American understands. Would you like geopolitical instability with regular or premium? Somebody allegedly vandalized the World War II memorial in Washington by spray painting it and filling the fountain with bubbles. Authorities arrested a suspect and filed 2 felony charges. So tonight's tiny contribution to civilization is this. Apparently we can still agree that spray painting a monument honoring millions of people who fought a world war is generally considered a dick move. Saturday starts in Indiana, where severe storms and flooding killed at least 5 people. Some areas received around 11 inches of rain in just 2 days. Communities evacuated residents, emergency crews carried out dozens of rescues, and President Trump approved a federal emergency declaration. This isn't really a joke story. Mother Nature apparently skipped the warning email and went directly to the demolition phase. Meanwhile, Hawaii's Big Island came extremely close to taking a direct hit from Hurricane Lala. The storm passed just south of the island rather than making landfall, but still brought hurricane-force winds, flooding, damaged roofs, and widespread power outages. So technically, good news, the hurricane missed. Bad news, apparently hurricanes have discovered the concept of splash damage. And sports gives us today's reminder that occasionally reality decides to write something ridiculous in a good way. 23-year-old Joshua Baez was called up by the St. Louis Cardinals' first Major League at-bat, home run. Third at-bat. He became the first player in Major League Baseball history to homer in each of his first 3 at-bats. 30 members of his family were reportedly there to watch it. Imagine preparing your entire life for your big opportunity and apparently hitting New Game Plus on day 1. Sunday's ugly story comes from Indonesia. A magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck the Flores region Saturday morning. By Sunday, officials said at least 53 people had died, more than 130 had been injured, and rescuers were still searching damaged communities. And then came nearly 1,000 aftershocks. There isn't a clever line for this one. Sometimes the ugly thing isn't something humanity did. Hawaii was still recovering from Hurricane Lala when forecasters started watching another possible tropical system. Because apparently Hawaii finished the first boss battle, and the game immediately loaded another health bar. Power restoration and cleanup were still underway while residents were being told to prepare for potentially more heavy rainfall. Not catastrophe yet, but definitely one of those situations where everyone keeps glancing nervously at the sky. And the good news is admittedly relative. Lala did not directly make landfall on the Big Island. That distinction matters. The island still suffered flooding, damage, and outages, but it avoided what could have been the first direct hurricane strike there in roughly 155 years. So today's good news isn't that nothing bad happened. It's that something significantly worse didn't.
Welcome to Monday. America has discovered yet another fascinating way of bringing old problems back. Federal data showed kindergarten vaccination rates falling for the 4th straight year, while exemptions reached a record 4.2%, roughly 155,000 children. The MMR vaccination rate fell to 92.4%, below the roughly 95% level associated with preventing sustained measles outbreaks. Apparently, measles watched us eradicate problems and said, "You guys miss me?"
A Reuters Ipsos poll put President Trump's approval rating at the lowest of his current presidency. The survey also found major concern about the Iran conflict. Now remember, that's polling. Not an election, not prophecy. Just 1,166 Americans answering questions. But when your approval rating starts approaching the interest rate on a terrible credit card, but your political consultants probably stop answering emails. And then we meet 16-year-old Ryder Williams. Last month, a 10-year-old boy named Nathaniel Rye was caught in dangerous surf near Santa Cruz. Ryder, a teenage lifeguard, went in after him and held on to the boy through pounding waves until additional help arrived. Monday, the two were honored at the White House. 16 years old. Kid sees another kid drowning and jumps in. No committee. No 50-page strategic framework. Just somebody needs help. That'll do for today's reminder that we're not completely screwed. Tuesday starts with something I don't want to make funny. Authorities in the Philippines say a 9th grade student entered a high school campus carrying 2 pistols, killed another student, injured others, and then killed himself. Police say part of the attack was live-streamed using a body-worn camera. It was the country's 2nd fatal school shooting in 2 months. That's it. No punchline. Some stories deserve facts and silence. Now let's move to something where sarcasm is absolutely back on the menu. The Associated Press found multiple CDC programs that Congress has funded, but that essentially don't have staff available to operate them. An Alzheimer's program received $41 million. The Office on Smoking and Health, $246 million. Programs involving epilepsy, sickle cell disease, and rape prevention were also affected. The AP called them zombie programs, which is remarkably efficient government branding. The program exists. The money exists. The employees don't. Government-funded haunting.
And because I refuse to leave you with government zombies, let's talk about guinea pigs. Massachusetts has a sanctuary housing somewhere around 350 to 400 rescued guinea pigs. So somewhere in America, while the rest of us debate $40 trillion in debt and international warfare, there is a room filled with 400 guinea pigs screaming because somebody opened a bag of lettuce. And somehow, that's comforting.
Congratulations, America. We unlocked another achievement. The national debt just crossed $40 trillion. 40 trillion. And before the comments turn into a political knife fight, both parties helped get us here. Everybody ate at this buffet, and now we're paying more than $1 trillion a year just in interest. Interest. On the debt. So we're borrowing money to pay interest on money we already borrowed. Your financial advisor would tackle you in the parking lot.
And because this story wasn't weird enough, Treasury announced it would double certain long-term bond buybacks to try to calm the market. Basically, investors are getting nervous about lending America money. So America is buying back some of America's debt to make people more comfortable buying America's debt. I need a whiteboard. And possibly tequila.
But Wednesday also gave us genuinely important good news. Moderna and Merck announced that a personalized mRNA cancer vaccine in spread of high-risk melanoma in a large late-stage ALS trial. It is the first positive late-stage result of its kind for an mRNA cancer vaccine. There are still regulatory reviews, full data, and unanswered questions ahead. So we're not saying cancer cured. We're saying this worked well enough in a major trial that scientists are extremely interested in what happens next. And after $40 trillion, I'll take it.
Thursday, Romania scrambled F-16s after an explosive marine drone was discovered just a few hundred meters from the Neptun Deep gas project in the Black Sea. Ukraine reportedly said it wasn't theirs. Romania's president blamed Russia. Russia had not publicly responded when Reuters reported the story. Neptun Deep is expected to become one of Europe's major gas projects. So apparently, Europe's energy infrastructure now gets its own fighter escort. Totally normal century we're having.
Meanwhile, Canada and the United States say they're extremely close to a trade agreement worth of Canadian goods is scheduled unless they're very close. But there's still work to do, which is diplomat language for we absolutely have a deal, except for the parts preventing us from having a deal. Negotiations reportedly include vehicle, steel, and aluminum tariffs. So stay tuned. Your car may eventually require its own passport. And let's end the week with something significantly better. A personalized melanoma vaccine from Moderna and Merck produced positive late-stage results, and researchers believe may eventually apply to several other cancers. Trials involving lung, bladder, kidney, pancreatic, and stomach cancers are either underway or being studied. No promises. Actual clinical research. So today's good news is some people spent their week teaching the immune system how to recognize cancer.